Yes, sir. All right. That's Tony Harrison. Your boy AB in the house. Errol Spence, Adrian Broner, thefightjournal.com, baby, we in the house. TheFightJournal.com was in the house in Brooklyn Saturday night for 3 154-pound title bouts. I want to give a shout out to Terrell Van, who I saw there. Chopped it up for a couple seconds. Check him out at FightView 360 or I believe that's the website, and or T Street Controversy on YouTube. All right, let's start with Erislandy Lara. Our pre-fight prediction was for Lara to win, but for Gausha to win 3, maybe 4, or maybe 5 rounds. Well, he won those 3 rounds we talked about, but he didn't attempt the game plan that I suggested he do, or at least thought he would do in my pre-fight video, the Vanes Martirosyan game plan. This guy Gausha was so scared or overly respectful, I'll put it that way, of Lara's speed and his power from counterpunching that he just didn't try enough. The fight was typical Erislandy Lara. Before the fight, he said he was going to put on a show. Okay, boss. Listen, game time is over. The dance partners for Lara have to be the type who aren't scared of what's going to come back counterwise and have a little offense of their own. And that puts us in a good spot because you have Jermell Charlo, you have Hurd, you have Demetrius Andrade, you have Tony Superbad Harrison, and even old man K9 Bundridge. All of these guys would bring the action to Erislandy Lara, and that's what we need in a fight with Lara. I don't think he'll fight. I don't believe he'll fight Vanes Martirosyan again. And here's a guy who a lot of people think beat Lara both times, or at least once. So I think they both moved on from that. I know if you ask Vanes, he'll take it. Lara, not so sure. Showtime, they got a decision to make on Lara. Either find the right dance partner, like the aforementioned names I gave you, or he's going to be a tough fight to sell on a card, let alone a main event. In the fight, there were a few times Gausha came forward, and when he did, he had success. But then he kind of seemed to enjoy the moment a little bit too long and not be as active. Erislandy Lara landed 45% of his power shots. You do that and, well, you should win. After the fight, Gausha said, hey, it was a tough loss, but I'm a true fighter and a competitor. This is going to bring out the best in me. I'm going to be better, smarter fighter. I'm going to come back even stronger. I'm a warrior. Man, I'm not trying to hear all that. Dude, you were a decorated amateur. You were an Olympian. Nobody heard of you as a pro, and you get your title shot at 30 years old. You got a gift decision or two in the past. You've been susceptible against guys with much less talent. So, with all these factors, I mean, how much better are you going to get? I don't have much to say about this fight. It's just another day at the office for Lara. Now Lara needs to fight Andrade, who is the bogus world champion, while Lara is the bogus super champion. I mean, you know, you get confused on who's what and what title they have. Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing Kanat Islam, another guy who, win or lose, Erislandy Lara is going to know he's in a fight. So I wouldn't mind seeing Kanat Islam or Andrade get the shot here, or one of the other two winners on Saturday night, which is the next option. If you don't fight an Islam or Andrade or what have you, then the next option is to unify. Now, Lara said he and Charlo are friends, but business is business. I agree. So unify then. There were 7,463 fans in attendance Saturday night. It seems like more for some reason. In the opening bout of the televised segment, Swift Jared Hurd won by 10th round TKO in a brutal fight when Austin Trout's corner stopped the fight. Now, in the prediction video, I called for Hurd to win by a razor-thin decision. And if you look at the scorecards at the time of the stoppage, the cards read 96-94, 96-94, 97-93. So we were headed to something razor-thin had it gone 2 more rounds. And it didn't. And Austin Trout was exhausted as he spent too much energy moving and moving and moving, and then Hurd's shots began to add up along with that being tired from all the movement. He expended quite a bit of energy. Austin Trout is a better boxer, has better footwork, better defense, and was scoring with the left hand all night. We talked about this in the prediction video. But Hurd is just a big dude, man, that wears you down. And a Hurd versus Charlo matchup would be a good one. And we'll see if it can get made. I don't believe anything these days until it gets signed, and even then, until they get into the ring. So Hurd just he keeps coming at you. Once you slow down where he can throw, he starts to put his punches together. He doesn't have a style, I think, that'll last extremely long in boxing, at least at the world-class level, because he takes too many hits. He turns the wrong way in some instances, and really should work on getting better there defensively. I think that should be something. Also, I'd like to see him work on cutting the ring off better instead of giving chase. As decent as he's been, if he can do those things, he'd be even better. Cutting off the ring doesn't entail following a guy. What it does is it's more lateral movement or more east-west movement than it is north-south, and a lot of people don't get that. If you see a guy move left, don't kind of go in a circle and then move when he changes his hips. Don't worry about his hips. If you see him moving left, then you take 2 steps to the left and force him back right. If he goes right, you take a step or so to the right. But it has to do more with side-to-side movement than coming forward and trying to chase him. That's following. And it doesn't seem like that's the way you cut the ring off, but I'm going to try to find a video which illustrates what I'm talking about. Hurd reminds me of the young version of George Foreman. I mean, the chin is there, the power is there, but he just doesn't have hand speed at all, and his footwork needs development. Don't laugh at me. You probably laughed at me a couple of times in this video. Here's the first time. I'd even recommend that Jarrett Hurd try ballet to try to get him lighter. A lot of NFL players, specifically running backs, back in the day, Herschel Walker, guys like that, they used ballet as a way to teach them how to maneuver and be lighter on their feet. And I know it sounds funny, but the reason I recommend it is I see a decent fighter who could be a good fighter or a very good fighter with some tweaks. How he got the nickname Swift is beyond me, and when I see him, I'm going to ask him, because Swift may be the most inappropriate. he can be swift when it comes time to knock you out, but Swift is not the name for him. You got to change his name to Giant or something. I mean, Paul Bunyan, because he's big. And listen, George Foreman he's an all-time great, and Foreman was slow like that too. But once he caught up to you, as Hurd does, he knocked you out. And Hurd is the same. He has a knockout streak on. This kid is going to be a tough out. He just wears you down, man. I mean, he's probably too big for the weight class, and I'd love to ask him how he makes the weight. I really do. I'm going to ask him about Swift, and I'm going to ask him about the weight. I mean, if he gets mad at me, hey. But I truly think that he could be a better middleweight when he gets there than he is at this weight class. We'll see. Jarrett Hurd landed 43% of his power punches, and when you're a puncher, it's hard for you to lose at that rate. Trust me. So it seems like he and Charlo might be on a collision course. But when asked, Hurd was like, well, I gotta get a mandatory out of the way, and then Charlo. And I'm like, not buying it, but we'll see. I will take my hat off to him, because people don't go out asking for Austin Trout, not a fight like that. So for his first defense, it's like that. But if this is supposed to be some type of pseudo tournament, then nah, you got to jump in there with Charlo or Lara. There were a few fights in the stands, and I tell you what, there was this cat who had white on, and someone told me he was from Hurd's team. I'm not sure if that's true, but the guy who was a journalist said that this cat was Team Hurd. Anyway, this guy got into a fight with multiple fans, and I'm telling you, he was putting in some serious work. And I mean, he wasn't a small guy either, and he you had to be there. I mean, this guy was putting in major work. I'm telling you, he wasn't just throwing punches either. He was ducking and rolling to the side, making people miss. Oh man, I wish you guys could have seen it. Now, one guy from a website, I think it's called Fight Hyper or something like that, he recorded it on his phone, and he said he was debating on if he was going to ask them to put it on the site. I don't follow a bunch of boxing websites, but I might go on there this time just to see if I can find it. But if I find it anywhere, if I catch up to him, he gives it to me, I'll add it below. But I'm telling you, this guy was oh man. I mean, we are, look, when you're in the stands, it's a street fight, but he was slipping he was slipping shots like like Ali in there, man. I mean, crazy. I also chatted briefly with Errol Spence Jr. and Tony Harrison. Well, if you see the beginning of this video, you'll see Errol Spence Jr. and Adrian Broner coming into the fights with two women friends. I saw Deontay Wilder and Keith Thurman Jr. too. Broner was highly intoxicated, or playing a role like he was, and there's no reason to role play. So I don't know, just can't seem to let it go. But he won't be the last, and certainly wasn't the originator. So I just wish, well, I think alcohol sometimes is used to mask deficiencies. I'll just put it that way. Keith Thurman. You know, here's another one where you'll laugh at me or get mad. One of the two. I got one more right after it. Keith Thurman. You know, this guy got all you guys fooled. I mean, I know I'm going to catch some flack for this, but or hey man, what's wrong with Thurman? Why don't you like him? Okay, well, this guy was at the fights giving Errol Spence Jr. a timeline that basically ended with them fighting in 2019. Come on, guy. Come on. So, if it was up to Thurman, the plan would be for Thurman to win a comeback fight against somebody like an Andre Berto or a Mike Alvarado, guys who are past it, but still are a name. And he'll go on his annual faking an injury when it's time to face one of the big boys. I mean, this is how Thurman operates. And then during that bicycle period, if you know what I mean, he'll do what he needs to do then. Meanwhile, he'll hope that Sean Porter, who he's supposed to be fighting, loses, so he can close that business out. So then this guy talks about how Terrence Crawford needs to become relevant as a welterweight by beating a few guys before he earns a fight with him, meaning Thurman. Last time I checked, Crawford was higher on pretty much anyone's list than you are, friend. So anyway, moving on. Finally, in the bout that 3/4 of the world thought should have been the main event, some people actually came in thinking it was the main event. Jermell Charlo short-circuited Erickson Lubin just long enough for referee Harvey Dock to stop the fight. And when I say short-circuited, as you saw him attempting to get up, he just couldn't for about a 5 or 6 count. And here's where I see things differently from the rest of the world. And I know I'm going to get some disagreement on here from my listeners. I don't care. I love you guys. I thank you. And I'm blessed to have you comment at all. If you watch, I'm going to try to find the Showtime version. There's a video I'll put below, but it is not the video that I'm going to recommend you watch. But if you watch the video that I'm going to put below, it looks like as soon as Harvey Dock waved his hand, Lubin bounced up. similar to the Zab Judah Costa Zoo, except Judah got up, went down, got up, and then. But I know you guys are gonna roast me for this, but just do what I say this one time, and then come see me. All right. Here's the thing. Now, before I get to that, let me talk about Charlo. You have to look at what the trainer is doing for this kid. What is his name? Derek something? You have to look at what he's doing for Jermell Charlo. I'm telling you. When you look at the old trainer, Ronnie, okay Shields, right? He had Jermell Charlo going. He would go from offense and then to defense, from offense and then to defense. And listen, a lot of guys do that. But when you saw it, there just was a pattern where he would get too defensive. It wasn't fluid. It was either or. Then this, am I saying it right? Derek James? I think it's Derek James, right? So he with James, he's kind of mixing it up, especially the offense, and it's paying off for the kid. I'm telling you. Derek James, with Derek James, Charlo's had 4 knockouts in a row after having 4 unanimous decisions in a row with Ronnie okay Shields. Now, I think in this fight there's something that Derek James and his team saw on tape. But let me go to earlier in the fight. I walked in the hall and I ran into Harvey Dock. Now, this was before the televised part of the card came on. And I told Harvey, I said, Harvey, you are the #1 rated referee in my rankings. And he smiled and he looked at me and said, well, we'll see how you have me rated after tonight. And I laughed and told him he'd be fine. Now, one thing Harvey did that I wouldn't do as a referee is he waved the fight off. I'm not saying he was wrong, but if I'm a referee, I always do the count out. Let me give you some reasons why. And I'm headed to where you're going to probably laugh and criticize me again, but that's okay. If you watch the video below, Danny Jacobs versus Dimitri Pirog, or another video below, Shannon Briggs versus Lennox Lewis, it's usually important to count a guy out. Now, I hear people say, well, Charlo put Lubin to sleep. No, he didn't put Lubin to sleep. Putting a fighter to sleep is like what Sergio Martinez did to Paul Williams, or what Juan Manuel Marquez did to Manny Pacquiao. What Glenn Koff Johnson did to Roy Jones Jr. That's putting a guy to sleep. And I'll get more into that later on. Well, in other words, they're out cold. Lubin was short-circuited, and he was trying to get up. But if you watch, the first video I want you to watch is Lennox Lewis, Shannon Briggs. Frank Cappuccino, the referee, did the right thing by trying to count Shannon Briggs out. Shannon was laying flat on his back. Everyone thought it was over. I think the announcer, which would have been the guy at HBO, I believe that's what was HBO, would have been Jim Lampley. What Cappuccino did was the right thing by trying to count Briggs out, because that removed all doubt. If he gave him a 10 count and he didn't get up, no matter how he was looking, laying on his back, it removes all doubt. You've been counted out. KO. And guess what? Shannon Briggs laid there as if he was finished, but he got up. Go to 27 minutes, 27 seconds of the Lewis versus Briggs video below. Watch Shannon as he lays down. It's like, oh, it's over. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Lampley said, well, he's not getting up this time or something like that. And then he just bounces up and starts nodding his head to the crowd with all the Brooklynites in there. And he let them know, look, I'm here to fight. Cappuccino did him dirty a little later in the round, but that's beside the point. Now, look at the Jacobs fight. In the Jacobs fight, Robert Byrd, yes, Adelaide Byrd's husband, did the wrong thing, in my opinion, by not counting the fighter out. Now, Daniel Jacobs is partly at fault for playing around like his Brooklyn comrade Shannon Briggs did. He kind of laid out like Briggs did, like teasing the fans, teasing everybody who was watching, and then he bounced up like, oh no, I'm not going out like that, Lennox. I'm telling you, they're both Brooklyn guys, and I think Jacobs did the same thing. So, yes, Jacobs is partially at fault, but Robert Byrd's at fault too. He's also accountable for not giving the count and counting a guy out. When you watch the video, you can hear Jacobs saying, I'm good, like 20 times, man. Even after he got up and he's over in the corner, you could hear him, like if you listen real close, underneath the announcers' voices, he's still saying, I'm good. Go to the 24-minute, 20-second video of the Pirog versus Jacobs fight below and watch it. See how he played around like Briggs and kind of did that and had the crowd believe it was over? Well, unlike Frank Cappuccino, Robert Byrd fell for it and said, okay, son, it's over. And as soon as he said it, he's like, yo, he lifted the upper half of his body. He was like, I'm good, man. He was like, I'm good. He played around too much. And if I get a chance, I'm going to ask Jacobs. I'm going to say, look, keep it real with me. Is that what you did? Now, here's what I need everyone to do. Not the video of the knockout of Lubin below. I need everyone, and if I can find it, I'll put it down below. And I'll substitute it because I'm recording this now, assuming I'm just going to put this one video that you can watch, but not the one I want you to judge. You have to watch the Showtime version of the video. If I can find a clip, fine. If not, if you have on demand or you can watch the fight, Just watch the video again and watch what I'm about to talk about. If you laugh at me, that's fine. I'm defending Lubin in this. And remember, if you go back to the video, I picked Charlo to win this. So it's not because I'm a Lubin fan, in other words. I want you to watch the knockout 5 times. Just watch it 5 times. Watch when Harvey Dock stands over Lubin. He says 5, 6, and then he waves his hand. And as soon as he waves his hand, Lubin bounces up. He gets up. Just watch it over and over. Okay? Nobody's complaining about the stoppage. But maybe there's some jackasses like me somewhere in the world who are. The way to remove any argument like this is to give the full 10 count, especially in a title fight. If Harvey Dock does that, Lubin beats the count. Then you run your test to see if he can continue. I'm telling you, I'm going to disagree with the entire world on this, but if you look at what the count was when Dock waved it off, it was 6. Turn your volume up on the TV. He tells Charlo to go to a neutral corner, and then he picks up the count from the ringside official. Watch it. He says 5, 6, and then waves it off. And Lubin gets up at what would have been the count of 8. It's okay if you disagree with me. Just do me a favor and watch it. And remember, if you go back to the pre-fight prediction, I picked Charlo and said it was likely he was going to knock this kid down and maybe out. As opposed to, like, I knew a knockdown and possibly a knockout was going to happen. I just didn't know who it was, but in my opinion, it was going to be Charlo. Didn't think he was going to do it in the first. But listen, the announcer, Mauro Ranallo, is terrible. He incorrectly said Lubin got put to sleep, just like other people. No, he got short-circuited, like Zab Judah did against Katazu. Like, as I stated, put to sleep as Paul Williams against Martinez. Put to sleep as Curtis Stevens versus David Lemieux. You know, Pac-Man versus JMM. Roy Jones, Glenn Johnson. That's put to sleep. If I'm a referee and I see a guy trying to get up, I give him the full count. If he beats it by getting up before the count of 10, then you check his eyes and his legs and ask him a question or two like, "You okay? What city are you in?" or what have you. If he's good, then fight on. If not, then you stop it. But you give him that benefit of the doubt in a title fight. Trust me, you're going to see it differently when you watch it again. You're going to hear 5. You're going to hear 6. You're going to see the wave. By the time he would have gotten to 8, or I'll even go as far as between 8 and 9, he would have got up and remarkably on steady legs. He didn't do any kind of dance, or he just kind of just got up. Like, just got it was crazy. Listen. Once again, I'm not saying what Doc did was wrong. I'm saying I would have done it differently so there would have been no doubt on Monday morning. That shot he hit, the shot that Charlo hit with him was something that they saw on tape. I'm telling you, this Derek James guy, it's a defensive flaw. He got hit with another right hand with about 1 minute, 5 seconds left in the round on a nice counter shot by Charlo. And when I thought the fight would end in a counter shot, it was that kind of shot right there. So if you watch it, prior to the knockout, you'll see a right hand with about 1 minute, 5 seconds or so left in the round. And the second time around, he got into a position where he ducked. And I'm telling you, there's something they saw on tape. Post-fight comments. Jermell Charlo. They were giving him a lot of attention. I was quiet the whole time. They didn't know what I was bringing into this. I think Lubin was worried about the wrong things. We're going to unify. The other champions want to fight me, and I'll take any of them. Give me another title. I want Hurd. Hurd just won. Give me Hurd. Now, hold on. I'm going to comment on that in a second, that last part. Erickson Lubin, his comments. I'm fine. He caught me with a blind shot. I didn't see it coming. He landed it. I felt like when I got up, I could have kept fighting. But it's boxing. It happens. Usually I agree with what I see live versus on TV. You've heard me say that a million times, how 95% of the media scored Hopkins versus Calzaghe 114-113 for Hopkins. Calzaghe got knocked down. 95% of press row scored it that same way. When they got home, they said, okay, I can see what everybody saw on television. I scored it for Calzaghe. Some of them by as much as 4 points. So when I always say you see a different fight live, in some fights, you see a different fight live than you do on television. Gennady Golovkin versus Daniel Jacobs was the same way. What I saw on television and what I saw live was different. Porter, oh my gosh. Porter versus Thurman. There were 10,000 fans there, and I'm telling you, when the decision was read, about 8,000 of those 10,000 fans booed. Now, mind you, none of them had any. Neither Thurman nor Porter is a New York fighter, so they didn't have any stake in either guy. Thurman's from Florida, and Porter's from Akron, which is near Cleveland, and I think that was around the time when LeBron James decided to leave the Heat, and they never liked James when he made the first decision, and then people thought, okay, maybe the Knicks are or the Nets are a player in the second decision he made, and he did them. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is, if they were to boo anyone, they would associate Porter with being a Cleveland guy and boo him. And then furthermore, after the fight, the post-fight interview, Thurman is talking and they're booing him. The point I'm trying to make is, what those people saw live was different than what the Showtime announcers were calling and what people saw on television. It's just one of those things. So I usually agree with what I see live versus TV. I'm going to make an exception here. When I see people score a fight a certain way, I tell them, you'd have scored it differently if you were there to see it live. I know this. But in this case, I'm going to go with what I saw on television over what I saw live. And I've never done that after watching hundreds of fights live. But the odds are that Lubin would have been taken out anyway. Those are the odds. But then again, so was Diego Corrales versus Castillo, right? Corrales was supposed to be taken out. So, you never know. And what I saw on television, because I'm like, oh yeah, he got knocked out, and there was no way he could recover. And I see this live, and then I go on television, and I see that 5 count, that 6 count. The fight's waved off, and then he just gets up, and his legs aren't shaky. He just gets up. Like, man, had he been given a count, he would have beaten the count. And that's the only point I'm trying to make. Whatever would have happened after that, we'll never know. But his legs weren't rubbery and falling all over the place. So, saw that on television. Didn't see it live. So, the exception to the rule. Let me go back to Charlo, because I want to put 2 and 2 together. Give me another title fight. I want Hurd. Hurd just won. Give me Hurd. Now, the Charlo brothers are very emotional guys, and they rub people the wrong way. I got some stories about after Jermell Charlo beat Williams J-Rock Williams. But I won't get into those now. So they rub people the wrong way. Now, you heard it once again. If you turn your microphone up, you'll hear Jermell say, after he won, he's over by the ropes. He's saying they hit him with a chair. They hit him with a chair. First he said they hit my brother, and then he said they hit my cousin or what have you. And then later on, he said they hit him with a chair, and Jim Gray was like, "Are you all right?" And Jermell was like, "Is he all right? Is he all right?" He's talking about Erickson Lubin. But when I hear that Hurd's people got into a fight, and then I hear that Jermell Charlo got hit with a chair, and then I hear him saying, "Give me Hurd, give me Hurd," I'm wondering if that had to do anything with either camp, and now there's a little bad blood. I'm gonna have to do some research. I got a little easier access to the Hurd people right now than I do Charlo. I can get them, but it's gonna have to be a little conversation off the record with them, and then whatever I tell you, hey. But if that's the case, then I hate to say this, I hate to promote fans fighting, but that's good for boxing. We want grudge matches. So make sure you check out the Showtime version, please. I'm telling you. Listen for the count. 5, 6. He waves his hand. Say an imaginary 7 to your head, and by the time you say 8 at the same pace that Doc was counting, this kid was up. I'm going to lose this argument with most of the world, but hey, I'm going to tell you how I see it and try to convince you. One of my strengths as a writer was kind of convince you to see it from my angle. So persuasive. That's the kind of writer I was. Try to persuade you to say, "Oh wow, I never thought about it like that." That type of stuff. One other thing, these so-called journalists, these so-called boxing journalists, you know, everybody's talking about this fight card, but I saw very few people cover the fight card that was on Fox. Abner Maris, co-feature. Leo Santa Cruz, and co-feature. Now that they both won, they'll fight each other in a rematch that I really didn't care about seeing again. However, they're going to play up one angle. You watch. They're going to play one angle up big time. And I'm not mad at them for doing it. Abner Maris has looked incredible with his under Robert Garcia. I mean, and I'll just leave it at that. So they'll play it up, and we'll see. I just still think there's some damage. I think he's a little bit damaged goods. I'll get into that some other time. But everybody's on this hard on this. You know, where's the coverage from that other fight? Did I do a video on Maris versus? Or the Maris card and Santa Cruz card? No, I didn't. However, if you go to thefightjournal.com, I actually sent someone, he got approved for a credential on assignment to the StubHub Center. He covered the fight. He wrote a pre-fight prediction. He went 1-1. He picked Santa Cruz and he picked Gutierrez, but Santa Cruz and Maris won. And then he did a post-fight write-up on it. So that's coverage. I didn't do the video. My man on assignment, who I want to get on air so we can talk. Little microphone shy, I guess. He covered it, so it's on the website. His pre-fight prediction and his post-fight recap. So all I'm just saying is, I mean, you know, you got PBC fans out there. You got Top Rank fans, you got Golden Boy fans, K2 fans. I mean, listen, I like some better than others, but you got to give equal coverage. I mean, that Saturday wasn't all about the Showtime card. There was a card on Fox. Regular Fox, too, not Big Fox, as they say, not Fox Sports 1. So, to the journalists out there listening, look, cover the sport. Don't cover PBC. Don't cover cover the sport. I have a great relationship with Main Events. I have a great relationship with Top Rank. I have a decent relationship with Golden Boy. I mean, cover it all. Please subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.